What does a hip replacement, knee pain, and an ankle fracture all have in common? Find out in this episode. The $100 billion rehab question is, how does someone who has had a fall and has lost mobility confidence believe in their balance again? With a fall comes the paralyzing fear of another, and with it, the loss of mobility, strength, energy, and independence. The list goes on. And that's the bad news, and usually where the downward health spiral begins, and illness and aging complications win. My name is David Dansero, physical therapist and certified aging in place specialist. Now for the good news. It doesn't have to end that way. Welcome to the Believe in Balance podcast, where I'll show you another path forward. Tune in as I share the top strategies and exercises to help you regain control over your balance using research-driven insights, evidence-based programs, and advice from industry leaders in aging and wellness and longevity. Whether you're already suffered a fall or had a few close calls and know you need to take charge and become more proactive about your balance health, this podcast is for you. You're sure to feel empowered and inspired to try something new in each episode. Ready? Let's get started. Welcome to episode 11 of the Believe in Balance podcast. I started at the beginning asking you what a hip, a knee, and an ankle all had in common. And that occurred to me in the last week and a half when three different individuals came to me for help, maybe call it a second opinion, after they had been discharged from therapy. And what they all had in common is all three were sent home without a discharge home exercise program. And why is that important? Because in many of those cases, if you didn't continue with your exercises and learned in therapy how to progress them, most likely in all three, they'll lead to a fall at some point, either because of a loss of mobility at the joint, the pain that associates with all three of those at times. But it's kind of disgraceful, actually, that in a day with all the technology, that we're still in rehab sending folks home without a plan. So that's what I want to announce today. My plan to keep everyone on their feet, and hopefully you won't fall down after you take action today, is I'm announcing my Believe in Balance course. And what is it about? It's really about modifying risk factors, improving mobility, and maintaining independence. It's really a full risk screening and conditioning program that I've used over the last year with hundreds of patients, and it's based on clinical evidence, and I want to go over it a little bit in this episode today. But first, why would you possibly need a fall screening and conditioning program? Well, I mentioned those three particular joints, but for older adults, just the act of aging is where falls become one of the greatest causes of serious health problems. And I want you to just consider these disturbing facts for a moment. 1 in 4 adults over 65 fall each year. It's very costly. It's currently at $80 billion a year, leading to a host of injuries. I read somewhere recently the average cost of a hospitalization for a fall-related incident is over $18,000 now. And 25% of those patients over the age of 65 will end up with hip fractures, and they die within 6 months. Those are the hard, sad facts. 25% lose significant function, and 50% experience lasting decreases in mobility, limiting independent living. Falls are expected to climb. I start every episode saying the $100 billion question, because that's where we're headed. Falls are becoming a $100 billion problem in the U.S. Besides the psychological impact, which is unmeasured, but it is paralyzing, and many of my patients have told me that. So what are the major causes of falls? I put them in 3 categories: muscle weakness, unstable balance, and dizziness. As far as muscle weakness, this causes falls that result in hip fractures, head injuries, and even death. And I mentioned the statistics that more than 40% of people hospitalized from these injuries never return home and are not capable of independent living. And two, with unstable balance, studies show balance, gait training with gait strength and flexibility components not only improve mobility, but also help reduce the risk of falling. So you want to ask, is your body balanced now? In my course, in my webinar to launch the course will be coming October 1st, and that's what I'm announcing today, so you'll be able to find out. And 3, dizziness. Vision and inner-ear problems, along with side effects from medications and even blood pressure changes, can all cause increased fall risk. So you want to ask your doctor or pharmacist to review your medications with you. My Believe in Balance podcast here has been touching on some of the themes around falls as a precursor and background information to launching the program. My program is designed using the assessments from the Otago research-based balance treatment program, and I use the same assessments. It comes with objective documentation and can quantify your current fall risk. So you'll learn about this in the webinar. It also targets balance training and conditioning. And it's usually delivered by physical therapists. That's the Otago program, utilizing static and dynamic balance, stability training techniques to lower for your lower body strength and to improve your balance and mobility. In my program, I've tweaked it to add some more modern integrations, but my program and the results I've achieved with my clients over the last several years, I have similar proven outcomes, which is to reduce falls by up to 40%. And that data was reported in several New Zealand research studies where the Otago program originated and later was adopted by the CDC as part of their STEADY program, which we'll talk about on the webinar as well. So what more do you need to know? I just wanted to talk today a little bit about balance programs and an overview of the 4 areas that have proven to be important in assessing your risk of falling. And they'll all be addressed in my program and in this course. The 4 are quickly: 1, lower body strength, which is a critical factor for a rapid response to a balance disturbance, whether you catch yourself, stay upright, or go down. 2, balance. Normal balance is controlled by a complex combination of visual, muscular, and neurological systems. Together, these 3 systems work in coordination to keep us from falling when we encounter an unexpected disturbance. I'll talk about how therapists assess those and how we do mobility assessments that you can take into the home and challenge your own balance and get measurements of where you currently stand, pun intended. 3, aerobic endurance. Independence and increased fall risks are directly related to walking speed. Testing and exercise interventions help you identify and reduce risk while increasing mobility and confidence. And 4, accountability. That's what this program is mainly about. Once you learn what to do, and you can't manage what you're not measuring. So once you've measured, having an accountability system in place that can set goal setting and program follow-ups with a physical therapist, and that can be done in your home, in the clinic, by tele-PT, or by phone. It's important to check in and progress on a regular basis to keep you moving forward. So once again, I did mention the Otago exercise program, and I use the similar exercises in my own program that I've established with my patients and tweaked and updated to make them more dual task and more functional for in the home. And those 17 strength and balance exercises are usually delivered by a physical therapist in the home or clinic. And I mentioned how they can drive important positive outcomes, reducing fall risk by up to 40% in older adults. So this program calls for PTs to assess, coach, and progress patients over this course of 6 months to a year. I'll talk about how I work with my clients using the program, and I'm going to bring in a couple of case studies and mobility measurement outcomes of several of my patients who have excelled in this program. I learned and am certified to provide the Otago program through the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, their School of Medicine and Centers for Disease Prevention and Gerontology. And as I mentioned, when they brought this program into the States, they saw similar outcomes and actually saw statistically significant improvements in clinical outcomes in as little as 8 weeks. So I can tell you the program does work. So if you want to learn more, you're going to see shortly links for this on my Achieve Balance site on Substack and my social channels. And you'll be able to come back to this podcast with an updated link on where to register soon. I invite you to attend the webinar to learn more about my new Believe in Balance program and see client results for yourself. That's all for today. Until next time, stay well, keep the faith, and keep moving forward.